Microphone check 1, 2. All right, I'm gonna give it a minute. Trying to get my headphones to work right, but they acting funny. I think I'm gonna have to get another something. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Let me see. Okay, put that there. Um, I think that's my beat. All right, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this installment of Community Candid. Of course, we still have the 19 report. We still have microphone check. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure my headphones are working. We still have all of our platforms. It's just that I'm not going to get on and just advertise something for the sake of advertising it. I'm not going to promote guns. I'm not going to promote violence in that way. I'm not going to do any of that. But today we got to talk about the new gun law, the constitutional carry law in South Carolina, and Manning in particular, but in South Carolina as a whole. If you don't know it, thank everybody for tuning in on all of the platforms. We're on 3 different platforms on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Linked. We're on YouTube as well as X, which was formerly Twitter. So I want to thank everyone for joining in, of course. And we got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to talk kind of cool today because last time I yelled on Instagram, they cut my feed, and I wasn't yelling. I just had my volume up too loud, so they take that as aggression. Proof positive of what's happening in this country with censorship. So censorship is becoming a problem, which means if you're not talking what they want you to say, you're not going to be able to say it. I do want to say this, though. We're at the point right now where you have to, if you claim God, if you say you're with God, then you got to walk like Jesus walked. You got to talk like Jesus talked. You got to call the devil the devil. Remember, Jesus said, ye are of your father, the devil, pointed them out specifically. If you're going along with what's not right and you know it's not right, but you're afraid to do the right thing, you're going to be held accountable for that. But the thing is, with all of this, is that I'm beginning to realize that people really aren't afraid of God, really aren't afraid of Christ. We're really more afraid of people than we are of those things that we can't see. So we're going to start to separate the weak from the strong, the believer from the disbeliever. It's been happening for a very long time, and it will continue to happen. So today we're going to talk about the constitutional carry. The bill was signed into law on last Thursday, I think, or Thursday before last. Governor Henry McMaster signed it into law. I was opposed to it. Senator Kevin Johnson was opposed to it. Senator Fawn Petalino was in agreement with it, but the agreements came with caveats. The caveats were that they had to bring the bill back to its original state. But I don't think it was brought back to its original state. What's going to happen with this bill? What's going to happen with it? Is that all we're going to hear, unfortunately, is that you're permitted to carry a weapon with you on your person without a concealed weapons permit, and that you're going to be able to carry those weapons, and we're not reading the fine print of it. So today we're going to go into who do you choose, Jesus or Barabbas, and we're also going to talk about the constitutional carry, what it entails, what we should be on the lookout for. And also, I got a call this morning that something happened downtown Manning to an establishment downtown. It will be on the news. Fawn Petalino, State Representative Fawn Petalino's store, which if many of you don't know, she owns that corner area upstairs, downstairs, and she also has the UPS where they do printing and all of that stuff. Somebody broke the window, shattered the glass. Evidently, whoever did it, they have the person's name. They cut themselves in the process. I know there was an event downtown last night, but I don't know how that ties into what happened at Ms. Fawn's Petalino's place. But some more particulars about it will come out. But I got a call earlier this morning about it. I just wanted to put that little piece out there before we get started. And I want to say this too. Right now, many of you know I get on my soapbox. So for the next 5 minutes, I think I'm going to be on my soapbox or less than 5 minutes. Politics in small towns have become personal. When politics become personal, it's no longer what the people need or what the people want, which government is designed for the people. Every government official works for the people. We pay their salaries through taxes. We have to put on the ballots, speaking with the candidates, what we desire in our communities, when we want it to be done, how we want it to be done. That we have that right, the people. Unfortunately, some politicians have made it to where we think they tell us what to do. That's not the case. Politicians work for us. When it comes to the presidency, that's way out of our reach. That's in D.C. D.C. has its own problems. As tough as President Biden talks and all of those big wigs in D.C. talk, D.C. is literally the murder capital of the world. And if you've never been there, I've been there. I've stayed in the home of the Brigadier General, the black general who was had a special on BET. Literally, a helicopter lands in his front yard and pick him up to take him places when he has to go. Literally, we stayed on an Army base, totally secure Army homes. And as a matter of fact, we stayed right next door to the War College in D.C. We were invited. But it is the murder capital of the world. So D.C. has its own problems. The presidency has its own problem. But when it comes to treasurers of a small town, senators, mayors, county council, city council, that's where we have to get concerned about. Because when you don't understand politics properly, the politician makes you to think that they have the power. They don't. That's one person against thousands of people. Whether it is a physical altercation or whether it is a on paper altercation or verbal, they don't have the power. In fact, the Constitution of the United States, where we're going to go into this constitutional carry, states in that document that the right to bear arms against tyrannical governments is the legality of it. Not that you take these weapons to turn on each other, but when government gets tyrannical and government starts to bully the people. This is what happened with Hitler. Hitler first sold the idea of a utopia. Then Hitler convinced the people that since we have this utopia, you no longer need weapons. So people turned in their ability to fight, their weapons. Then Hitler deliberately burned down what you would consider the courthouse in Manning, what is called in Germany the Reichstag, and blamed it on someone else and promised the people that he would take care of them. And once they relinquished their weapons, their ability to fight against tyrannical governments, it's when everything that happened in with the Jewish people happened. I'm coming to a point. And I understand now, because I didn't before, that people pretend to comprehend things that they don't. I actually got phone calls from people asking me to talk about this constitutional carry. And I say, well, it's on the news. I'll send you the document. They still don't understand it. They still can't comprehend it. And I understand that as well, because there is a level of knowledge that I can't comprehend. But this I comprehend by God's permission. And I strive hard each day to learn more and more and more. And sometimes I'm very hard on myself when I don't understand things. So I'm going to talk about this constitutional carry. I'm going to play a clip from a white lawyer. And the reason I said white is because I found in my travels, especially in Clarendon County, that it is white people who have the testicular fortitude to fight against what they feel is wrong. It is white people, Caucasian people, who have a stronger tie to their freedom that they will fight anything that takes away the freedom they had since they got here. Our freedom is not as long as Caucasian people's freedom. So we walk on tippy toes, afraid to speak, afraid to question, afraid to rebel against. So that's why we're going to talk about Jesus and Barabbas in a minute. Elected officials take the position, then they find a cushy spot where they can help themselves and their family. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular. So you can run back and tell Senator Kevin or his daughter. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about Clayton Pack or Mayor Julia or anybody for that matter. I'm putting together a scenario. When I'm talking about them, I'll tell you I'm talking about them. That's called freedom of speech. And if you feel like you got the heart to say it, and God is backing you to say it, and if violence come your way, you can protect yourself from it, then you speak it. I feel I have those things. I feel that God is protecting me, and I feel like death any day is fine with me as long as I take you with me. So I don't have a problem with calling names or anything. So if I didn't call their name, don't put their name in it unless I say so, because I'm talking. All right. So when you have people in positions of power, naturally you want to help your family. Joe Biden did it. President Trump put his children into positions of power. Joe Biden did it. Barack Obama set his children up, and Kevin Johnson did it for his daughter as well. But she had to run for the position, and she had to win it. But you have to be qualified for it. Now, at this point in Clarendon County, things are getting personal. And politics is no longer a part of it. It's me against you. It's I'm going to find your dirt and expose it. You're going to find my dirt and expose it. And then the people sit in the middle not knowing what to do. I'm on my soapbox now. So politics was corrupt, is corrupt, will be corrupt. Politics is one of the most corrupt forms of government besides religion. Religion is totally corrupt. So you don't hear any of the preachers talking about any of the political issues going on in the county that I know of. You don't hear any of the politicians talking about the violence and the crime in the community that I know of. You don't hear it. And you won't hear it because they have to make you like them. They have to stay in a safe zone. They can't play sides. But the people can play sides. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his best followers are still in the street. It's the people in the street that are the best followers of God. Why? Because they're going to say what's on their mind. Because they're not obligated to anybody, and because they're strong enough to back up whatever they say. Well, I'm part in the street, of the street, and part godly like. I don't like bullies. I never did. I was bullied, and I bullied other people. So I don't like bullies. I'm David, and many of you are David. We're going to fight the giant. Rebellion to tyrants. So I don't care your position of power. We got one life. We either live it for God or we die with the devil. I choose to live with God. So we talking like this today. Let's go. Politics has become very dangerous, and politics has been weaponized in small towns. They're telling you, I filled out a position to run for a position that they text me and said a position is open. You run for the position. I ran for the position. We got to the meeting. Comes to find out that they have already behind closed doors voted in the people that they wanted to be in the positions. Why? Because Jamil can't be trusted. Why? Is he a liar? Is he a thief? No, he tells the truth about himself and about others. He can't be trusted. So all of these committees are backdooring the people. All of these Democrat, Republican, all are backdooring the people. Out at the lake, you probably got about 340 black people to 2,000 to 3,000 white people. That's how Fawn Petalino got her position. The white folks voted. Whether the black folks were to vote or not, we couldn't beat the power of the white vote. You should understand that because this is a Republican state. Yet when black people lose, they blame it on black people. It's y'all fault. Y'all didn't go to the polls. That's not so. Yes, our people have become disheartened with politics. I am disheartened with it because I found that black folks that we trusted and put in positions of power have used our vote for their personal gain and will only do things that can be seen by the multitude so they can say, I did that, and I did that. But what about the little person? What about the small guy? What about the guy who doesn't really have a voice, doesn't really comprehend politics or policies or any of that, but are simply relying on you because of the color of your skin? Can you be fair if you're white to both black and white? Can you be fair if you're black to both black and white? And can you be fair to the people who deserve the position as opposed to a child of yours that you want to have the position, which I have no problem with that. I believe a person can get a position, learn the position, and earn the right to be in that position. That's called apprenticeship. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also believe that people put their people in positions of power to hold positions so that anything they decide to vote against or for, there will be more people in positions to carry out their wishes. And also, now I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to you directly. Instagram and all of the other platforms that I can't talk to you directly because you all think that I'm the devil. You think that I stir up trouble, but I'm telling you, I got facts, I got proof, I got paperwork. But some of the things that people bring me, I won't talk about. I'm not going to get personal in a person's personal family business, not unless it affects me. I got my own troubles. God knows I do. Jesus had his own troubles. Many of you have your own troubles, but you are dedicated to truth, as I am. Let's go on. I'm still on my soapbox. I might go past 5 minutes because what I got to talk about is going to move kind of fast. This political season is charged with personal vendettas. I can't say names. I won't say no, but prepare yourself for this political term. You're going to find out that a lot of things we thought we owned in Clarendon County, we're renting. You're going to find out that some of the places that the taxpayer dollars are paying for are unnecessary. And we're paying as much as $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 per month for these places. You're not going to do nothing about it because all we can do is, you know what they're doing. We're whisperers. We're not doers. But you're going to find that out in this political season. Now, what happened downtown last night? We're going to find out whether it was politically motivated. Someone broke the windows of an establishment. Unfortunately, they cut themselves very bad, blood all over the place. I saw TV 10 down there. I saw WLTX down there. I don't know what other station, but I got a call this morning early. And I'm going to tell you this too. I talk to Republicans. I have no qualms or issues with Representative Fawn Petalino. I think she's a nice person. Now, I didn't agree with her agreeing with the open carry bill, and I said on my show why I didn't agree. Because it's going to affect young black boys. And when black people hear something and they hear that it's been put into law, we go to the extreme with it, unfortunately. And just because it's legal under the law doesn't mean that it's morally legal, that it's morally right to do it. So many of us are going to begin to carry weapons. You're already a felon. Bad idea. Many of us are going to carry a weapon in our waistbands or open carry or whatever and get into a fight. And whether you use that weapon or not, if you have that weapon on your person, in your vehicle, you could be charged with a crime. If you come to my house and I say, hey, you ain't got no guns on you, do you? Don't bring no guns on my property. And something happens and it turns out you got a gun, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you could be facing or fined because I told you not to bring the gun on my property. And all around my property, I got the no guns and I got the no trespassing and I got all of that. I can carry a gun on my property. But if I tell you not to, then you can't. That's the new law that's into place. You can't carry it into a school. You can't carry it into a school zone. You can't carry it to a church without without earlier permission to do so. You can't carry it into state houses or anywhere that has a sign or banks or anywhere that says, no, do not bring a weapon on this property or in this facility. If you have a felony on your record, you can't carry. And most of our young people were felons at the age of 13, 14, 15. The crimes for shooting someone with a gun have not changed. Even as a concealed weapon carrier, I can carry a weapon, but I understand that if I pull that weapon, I must be shooting to kill you because I take you as a threat to my life. So what this law is going to do, and it's a long list of things, and I'm not going to talk about all of them, and I'm going to tell you why. My daughter left home one morning going to work and was almost killed by a drunk driver. Lost a kidney, got rods in her leg, was in a coma for 2-3 weeks. I got the pictures. I got the whole thing. Going to work. And when we took the black driver to court, when the judge read off the charges, he said, I don't remember none of that. So he never felt no remorse for what he did. Doesn't care, don't care, won't care. So when it comes to me and a sobriety checkpoint or a cop in the corner, I don't flash my high beams at anybody to let them know a cop is there. I don't care if it's my cousin, brother, mama, God rest her soul. Because the people that you flash at may very well be somebody that's kidnapped somebody that's driving drunk, and after they pass through the checkpoint, they're going to kill someone that just murdered somebody. And you're letting them go free by warning them that the police are there. That's my take on this law. I'm not going to tell you everything about it because then you know everything if you want to learn, the law is out there for you to see it. But I just wanted to point out a few things because I was asked to do so. But I will tell you this. I carried guns since I was in the 9th grade. I carried guns on school property since I was in the 9th grade. Anybody that knows me will tell you that. I've always been a solo person. I never ran with a lot of people, but you're not going to bully me. No, sir, no, ma'am. As long as there's a God and as long as I got breath in my body, you can talk all the trash you want. But you step within 100 feet of me when I was in the 9th grade, and if you step within 100 feet of me today, God willing, you'll find out. But I carried weapons since the 9th grade up until now, and I am a concealed weapon carrier now. But you never heard of me ever pulling a gun on anyone or shooting anyone that I didn't have probable cause to shoot and that I didn't get right out of jail after shooting. But our young people are not going to understand those laws. They think because it's lawful to carry, you can just shoot. That's not how this works. And you'll find that out very soon. So you're going to start to see more and more young people with guns hanging off their belt, hanging out their pants. It's the wild, wild west now. No concern to white folks, to Caucasians, because they got their community pretty much locked besides out there at the lake. You know, there's some different folks out there. But they're locking themselves in the communities that you and I aren't privy to. I turned down the road up here by the bike shop one day, made a wrong turn, and by the time I came out of that cul-de-sac, a white man was following me, stopped me at the corner, and I'm laughing in my mind. Hey, what, you looking for something down here? What do you need? I made a wrong turn, man. Mind your business. You know what I mean? But that's how they protect their community. What do we do in ours? We let everything go. We let everything slide because we think we're going to be a snitch if we do. Big mistake. But our young people, more and more crimes with guns. Plus, you got a crowd of people where a crime was committed. Everybody got a gun. The police have to make sure that they're secure. They don't know who to trust, who not to trust. A lot of shootings, not immediately, but it's going to start. But anybody that lives in Colorado, Little Rock, Arkansas, or anywhere where open carry is permitted, these cats will have a Draco, as long as it's considered a pistol. Long guns, as long as it's considered a pistol. And now all you got to do is take the butt stop off the back of a Draco or AR shotgun or 9mm with 30 shots in it, and you can carry that big gun because it's a pistol. I got 2 of them. I don't usually do this. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to show you what a legal pistol looks like. That's a legal pistol. You see that? This is a legal pistol because of the short barrel, laser scope. Look at that. 30 shots. My granddaughter asked me one day, "Granddaddy, why you always buy 2 of every gun?" I say, because I like secondhand smoke. That was a joke. But you ain't never see me run out of my house with that, or my ARs, or my shotguns, or my handguns. Because there's responsibility that come with gun ownership. You understand me? Therefore, protection. Now, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that. I'm going to play this little clip, and then we're going to go into, we talked about politics. I'm going to play this little clip. I want to say this too. I am for the legal carry of anyone who is not a felon, who is responsible. I am for you carrying a weapon. I believe that people should be allowed to protect themselves at all times, all times. The criminals are going to have the guns. The law-abiding citizens should have guns too. And what's going to happen in a few years, along with all of that I just said, is that law-abiding citizens will start to killing young people who break it in their cars, break it in their homes, or threatening them. They're going to start shooting them. How do you know this? You talking to God? No, I travel cities. I see it. In Texas, I just talked to a gentleman from Baltimore who said at least 5 deaths every day. Every day. It'll be no different here because our people love music, loud, drugs, loud, and violence, loud. We have been programmed into that, and we are afraid to talk about these things to our children. So we want to make the world a beautiful place when it's not beautiful yet. And that's why we're going to talk about who did you choose, Jesus or Barabbas. I got this message from a Caucasian pastor who emailed me that he wanted to sit down with me because he told me how interested he was in the Black community. And I looked him in his eyes and asked him why. What do you expect to get from Black people? Now, this person has a huge congregation, 450 people, all white. 450 loyal people every Sunday. And I asked him, what are you trying to do with Black people? What do you hope to accomplish? You think feeding them and having events in Black neighborhoods is going to make them come to your church? It won't. So he texted me and said, "Your honesty, I appreciate. The conversation was so intriguing. I would like to sit down and talk to you again." We couldn't do it last month, but we did it this month, and we sat down and we talked. And he told me something about Barabbas in the Bible. I had never heard it. I trust, but I verify. So I looked it up, and there it was. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Who did you choose, Jesus or Barabbas? And I think, yes, let's play this clip real quick about the open carry. Let's go.
Breaking news in the state of South Carolina. The governor just signed a bill making South Carolina an open carry state. I'm Erin Bailey, your local criminal defense lawyer here in Georgetown, South Carolina. I'm going to break down what this law means. So now under the...
Let me stop this for a minute. She's from Georgetown, South Carolina. I'm going to run that back. So this is the breaking news. She is a lawyer out of Georgetown, South Carolina. Here we go.
Breaking news in the state of South Carolina. The governor just signed a bill making South Carolina an open carry state. I'm Erin Bailey, your local criminal defense lawyer here in Georgetown, South Carolina. I'm going to break down what this law means. So now under the new law, which is effective immediately, it is legal to carry a gun with or without a permit openly. Really, the only restriction is that there's a list of places that you cannot carry a gun into. That list includes polling places, a law enforcement center, a jail, a courthouse, schools, sporting events, daycares, a hospital, a doctor's office, and there may be a few others. If you intend to constitutionally carry, as this bill provides, then you should really pull up that list and look at it closely before you do that. The law says that you cannot take a gun into a church or a residence without the express permission of, if it's a residence, without the express permission of the homeowner, if it's a church, without the express permission of the governing body of the church or the pastor. This new law also creates a brand new law of unlawful carry. It is now unlawful for someone who's been convicted of a crime that carries more than 1 year. You don't have to be sentenced to a year in the original crime, but if that crime potentially carries more than 1 year, then you cannot possess a firearm or ammunition in the state of South Carolina. Now that makes South Carolina law more closely mirror federal law. There are some exceptions to that, so if you're unclear about whether or not you can legally possess a firearm, you should consult an attorney. This new law also says that you can carry a firearm in your car anywhere. It no longer has restrictions about where exactly you have to keep your gun in a car. You can have your gun in that car anywhere without a permit, whether your car is occupied, unoccupied, and whether that gun is loaded or unloaded. The law specifically says you have a right to do that. Previously, it was a crime in the state of South Carolina to have an unsecured gun in the vehicle if it was concealed and you didn't have a permit, and we ended up seeing a lot of people prosecuted for storing their gun wrong in the car. If you previously have a conviction for unlawful carry, for carrying your gun in the wrong place in a car or in a backpack or anything like that, and you didn't have a permit and you ended up with that conviction, that is expungible, but you only have 5 years from today, 5 years from March 7th of 2024 to apply for an expungement for that crime. These are really big changes to South Carolina law. If you are a gun owner, you need to pull the bill and read it. You need to make sure that you familiarize yourself with the rules so that you don't inadvertently get charged with a crime.
All right. We're back on. Now, the weapon that I showed you just now, that never leaves my house. That's not something that I do every day. They do have questionable about the bump stop, but that's a different type of weapon. That is not an assault weapon. That is not an assault weapon, what I just showed you. That is not like that doesn't shoot 5.56 or 2.23 bullets. So that is not an assault weapon, for the record, because I know somebody will try to pick that up and run with it. So I want to get off of that soapbox right now, and I want to get onto this, and after this, we're going to close. I spoke with a gentleman about the black-white issue here in Clarendon County and what his intentions were, because he's a sincere person. He went through a lot to get here, and he's a Caucasian pastor. And we've been trying to work out some things. I've been trying to get more people to the Juneteenth, more mixing of the races at the Juneteenth event this year. And right now, I don't think I'm going to do the event because I'm tired. And I wanted to start it early so that we could have a stronghold on our position with it, because it's a legal holiday now. Like I said, anytime something becomes legal, like this open carry, once it becomes legal, people, they run all over the place with it, and before long, they will destroy it. If you don't look at what happens during Dr. King's birthday, they got Dr. King on the flyer with girls with their booties out and Dr. King picture. They got Dr. King with a necklace on his neck and twisting his finger like the West Side. They have just destroyed the image of the man completely. And they are going to do this with Juneteenth. They're going to destroy it because they have no ties to it whatsoever from the beginning. But because it is now a legal holiday, the termites will come in until they destroy it, then they'll leave it alone. And another generation of black children won't have any ties to anything that pertains to them. Just like with Briggs versus Elliott, it's an event and people are there, but they don't understand the process of Briggs versus Elliott, the people who were involved in it, what it was all about. It was not about integration. The Briggs versus Elliott case that started in Summerton, South Carolina, which was Briggs versus Elliott in Summerton, South Carolina, that they wanted equal books, equal buses, equal teaching staff and everything in black schools. They did not want to integrate. That was not what they were fighting for, but it turned into that. And unfortunately, black children don't know how to act around other people. So you have to have most of your classroom with black male teachers and black students. Females should teach the females, males should teach the males. Until we get on a fair playing field with every other race, because we are behind. It doesn't matter what you see with the finances. Those are almost like gifts from God and lucky breaks at the same. These are people who were in the military, who getting their monthly $4,000, $5,000. They're able to do more than they ever did. People who have retired and are getting their money from cities and able to do more than they ever did. But it is not a unified effort from black people. And what I love about my white folks that I talk to is they understand what I'm talking about. And they understand that what I'm saying has nothing to do with racism. They know that I'm not a racist, just like my gay friends know that I'm not homophobic. They know that because I fight with them. I'm at the State House when they're fighting for laws, and I'm there. But I don't see none of you there, though. Got one coming up this Saturday. I won't see any of you there. But you would be quick to say Jamil is homophobic and he's gay. Come on, man. Cut it out. You can't fight the way God has given some of us the ability to fight. It's not in you. Now let's go into this. On Thursday, the bill was written. It was signed by Governor Henry McMaster. House Bill 3594, also known as the South Carolina Second Amendment Preservation Act. And they changed it from the concealed carry. They changed they redacted some of the requirements, added in some others. But the main thing about this is when it gets really bad here in Clarendon County, when it gets really bad, like they desire so much to be like Chicago. When I lived in New York, they used to have this big football game where all the gang members, all of the people who were part of gangs agreed to put down their weapons. And many of you know this story, but I'm not going to mention the person's name because y'all too sensitive about it. I was there. I know I was in the city. I know what happened. But the game was supposed to be everybody put their guns down. All of the boroughs and all of the apartment got together and played a friendly football game. But there was a group of people who said, nah, this is the best time to kill these ninjas. While they don't expect us to have weapons, we'll get them. So while the football game was going on in New York, and many of you know exactly what I'm talking about, I won't mention names because I don't want the smoke. But some of them brought guns out, and there was a lot of death that day out there on that football field. A lot of blood, a lot of carnage, a lot of, oh my God, horrible. What's going to happen is these city folks are being run out of the cities. And these young wannabes in Clarendon County, and that's what they are, they're wannabes. The only time they come out strong as quote unquote gang members with most of them is when either they meet a person from prison who's 100% down with it, or they go to prison and they're recruited. When I lived across town, someone had weekend furloughs from prison, from Zopound, from Florida, and I lived behind Good Blood Shop, and they came to me and said to me, got a good feeling about you, brother. Anything you want, we abide for you. All we asking you to do is to be the middleman while we run these drugs through cross town. I didn't do it. No, sir, I don't want nothing from you. I don't want that. And they respected me so much that when I asked them to move from in front of where I live, right behind Good Blood, they moved down to Austin Simon. This is fact. Well, they moved down to the Go-Go Club first. Then they had a shooting down there. Then they moved down to Austin Simon. They got a bunch of our women, spread HIV and all of that to them. It was horrible. But what I'm telling you, what is about to come, it's when a rival group know that you can't bring a gun into a church. They're going to be on the road outside of the church waiting for you to come out with no defense. And they're going to shoot at you. And whoever's in the way, just in the way. They did it in Chicago at a funeral. Because they know nobody had guns at the funeral. They came and shot more people up at the funeral. And what South Carolina is doing is mimicking Chicago, because that's what's bombarded over the news. Our Mexican brothers and sisters are coming through the border. Some of them are sex traffickers. Some of them are major drug dealers. They're being allowed to set up shop because they got all their paperwork in order, and whatever they're doing is just a front. You don't know this. So the police know it, and other people know it. But the cartel does not play. And you're not going to skip out on their money like many of you skipped out on my money when I was hustling. Because I was the guy that they bought their weight from. Me, right here, this guy you looking at. And a lot of these people out there right now that y'all admire and love, that's got businesses and all that, they owe me money. I'll never say their names. They know their names. They owe me money. But when the heavy hitters get here, you'll find out how it's going to work. Back in the day, people were buried alive in Clarendon County who mucked around with the cartel, with the real gangsters. So we're headed there. And each law that is put into place, the marijuana law is going to be the next one on the docket. We got infrastructure problems. We got school issues, violence in the schools. The children are being given too much tests, but they're not learning how to comprehend for themselves. But we're constantly on that. The guns, the drugs, the liquor. Now they've made the gambling legal. I'm telling you what the world is coming to, because you don't see it. And you think that because you stay in church or out of the way. Well, I'm out of the way. But trouble came right to my residence, right next door to me. Trouble came. There's no such thing as back in the day where you just hide. I ain't going out. Trouble's coming. Last night at 2:30 in the morning, young folks up and down the road like they have crazy. Trouble. Running, and I don't know what the heck going on. I got all the footage because I got cameras all around my house. But because I don't understand what's happening, I'm not going to take the proper actions just yet. I'm going to look at the footage again tonight. But this is where we headed with this, what they call now preservation, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, or what they call constitutional carry. I'm going to get off the soapbox. I'm going to talk a little bit about House Bill 3594. Look it up. I'm going to click off of that. I'm done. Now I want to talk about, in closing, Jesus and Barabbas. Because people in the church are talking about Jesus. People on the street are talking about Jesus. I've seen hardcore murderers, and I know some murderers. I know some people who have taken life. On God is what they say. On God, on my mama, on this, on that. And then I see people in the church, evil as hell. Not evil because they hurt people, but because they know they're going against what God says not to do. And then they dress up in front of you like they're not doing any of it. And that's what's being exposed. We all got some freaky in us. We're going to have to account for that. I got some in me too. But I never desire to be with no dude. I don't like young girls. Only older women. That's always been my flavor. Older women, older looking women. Women with gray hair and it looks pretty is even better. but I don't get into that freaky stuff. I'm invited to a lot of gay parties. Got one coming up in April, and I go because I'm the photographer there. And I like those folk. I like my people. They're my people. They're my brothers. They're my sisters. I like them. And if I'm wrong in that, I pray that God have mercy on all of us. I've been in the room, man, listen, Lord have mercy. Yeah. But I don't mind telling you that. I don't act like I'm a saint. I got in the car with my son the other day and I said, man, your dad ain't worth a SHIT. He looking at me and I'm like, man, sometimes I think about doing some of the worst things. And if it were not for God, I would do it. Who are we serving? Jesus or Barabbas? I want to go into this. I was talking to the Caucasian pastor, and the reason I like him, man, because we be like this close to each other, eye to eye. So what do you think? What do you think? I don't know. What you think? What do you believe? What do you? And I like that kind of conversation. Like the conversation with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, you know, intelligent conversation where you can agree and to disagree and still be friends. Well, that's how we talk. So let's go into this. Pontius Pilate was getting a lot of resistance from the people. And like I was saying earlier, with politicians, they have no power, but the power that the people give. Pontius Pilate understood that. So Pontius Pilate didn't want the people to rebel against him and come after him and destroy him and you know, all of the constituents with him. So he put two people before the people and allowed them to make the decision who they would follow or who they wanted to free. Sometimes when we look at biblical scripture, the word free, everything has a duality. As nice as a person is, I know they're that wicked. And that's how I understood my children most of my life. I know that as much as you say yes, sir, and no, sir, to me, you just as evil as hell when you out the door. I understood that. But everyone has to have a level of freedom. Jesus and Barabbas, who did we choose? I'm saying this for a reason. Because I think we are confused in what we think we have chosen. Yet we say we have chosen the righteous Jesus, Son of God. And we do all the evils of the world, some of us, in the name of God, and come back clean as a whistle. As the scripture says, outside is like whitewashed stone, but inside is nothing but death, maggots, wickedness. We dress the part, right? When you hang around in the higher vibrational realm long enough, you begin to see people's aura. You can see the darkness of their being when God permits it. When I look in the mirror at myself, I can feel my aura and I get afraid of myself, afraid of what I'm capable of. But I'm honest with myself. And so when I told my son I wasn't worth a SHIT, I was telling him all the things that I felt that day. I wanted to kill somebody that day, but I didn't want to go to jail for it. I wanted to be intimate with another woman that day, but I didn't want to break up the institution of God's law. There's a lot of things that day for some reason that I would have done if God did not put a barrier between me and my desires. Right? So here you got Barabbas in prison. The Bible is very vague about his reasons for being in prison, with the exception that he murdered someone and that he was a part of the rebellion. Rebellion to what, I don't know, but he was a part of the rebellion. Whatever he rebelled against was against the laws of the time, so he was imprisoned. And the gentleman I was talking to said, you know, There were two Jesuses in the Bible. Two Jesuses. What are you talking about? Yeah, he said, yeah, there was two. He said, well, it was in the NIV version of the Bible. He said, when I first started studying scripture, I saw it. He said, but they took it out. I said, well, I'm gonna have to examine that. I want to have to see for myself. So I looked it up. There were two. But one had one set of characteristics and one had another set of characteristics. Like there are two stories of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis. They were born and then they were born again. But if you're not careful, you'll miss it. But there were two. And I'm going to read this to you. Then I'm going to put that against the people today in the street, in politics, in law, in religion, everybody. This pertains to all of us. Who did we choose? Now I'm going to read this. This is coming out of this is Gene Willand. This was written April 13, 2007 in an article called Gene, Jean. How Jesus and Barabbas are similar but very different. And that makes all the difference. I want to read this. What the gentleman told me about the book. Hey, Karen, if you're still there, how are you? I'm sorry I don't look at my camera much. I apologize. What I didn't mention to you is what the Caucasian pastor told me. He said, you know, Barabbas' name was Jesus too. He said when Pontius Pilate asked the people who they chose, he asked them, would you choose Jesus, the son or the father of, or Jesus, the son or the father of? And I didn't say anything to him. I sat and listened, and I said, that's interesting. I'll look into that. But I want to read this to you. Barabbas, the son of the father. Here's the comparison. He's so beautiful. The baby's mother said to her husband, look, he has your eyes. Let's call him Barabbas. Barabbas is the son of the father, which means that he was the son of his father, his physical father. Somewhere along the path, it said in life, Barabbas became involved with a terrorist group in the midst of an attempted revolution and became a murderer. Now you can go to Mark 15:7 of the New International Version of the Bible or of the King James Version of the Bible, and it says this. I'm going to read this out of the King James Bible. It says, and there was one named Barabbas, which lay bound with them that had made insurrections with him, who had committed murder in the insurrection. So Barabbas was fighting the cause, but he was fighting it under his own pretenses. He was fighting it under his own belief system. He was fighting it under his own will. He was fighting it based upon what he thought was right and wrong. Like we do today. We fight things based on what we think is right. Just because you think it right don't mean it's right. And just because you hear it over and over again repetitively doesn't mean it's right. And just because it has been normalized doesn't mean that it's right. But in your heart, in your mind, you should have the right to do thus and so. And when everybody starts to think that they have a right to do whatever they want, that is chaos. That is anarchy. Hitler wanted to cause anarchy. Hitler wanted to cause chaos. Opening up the borders to people that have no record, no nothing of who they are, where they came from, is anarchy. It's chaos. I'm coming to a close. I'm coming to a point. Monies have been set aside for these quote unquote illegal aliens coming from Mexico. They will be given housing and they will be given a stipend every month. They will be allowed to come into the country until it is decided whether they can stay or go, but they'll have enough time to have babies in this country to make them legal citizens. They will be able to replace those who have rebelled against the system. I'm talking about the insurrection or the rebellion of Barabbas. So who did we choose? Now let's talk about, that was Barabbas, the son of his father. Now Jesus, the son of God, the son of his father, the universal God, that's one. But Jesus, Barabbas, is the son of the earthly father. In the book of Genesis, it says, choose the tree of life or the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life is the tree of the universal father. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the tree of Barabbas. The tree of the choices we make and the consequences that comes with those choices. So as Pontius Pilate stood before the people, he asked, who do you choose? Jesus, son of God, or Jesus, Barabbas, son of his father? The people said, Jesus, Barabbas. And the actions of the people today, although they call on Jesus, although they call on God, are the actions of a rebellious sinner. So now everyone is trying to find their position in life where they can connive and cajole and trick and fool so that they can find a place in life where they're comfortable. Everything that I talked about, from the politics to the guns to everything else, is leading to right here what I'm talking about, Jesus of Barabbas or Jesus Christ. So all of us are mentioning the name of Jesus in the street, on God, on Jesus, Jesus this, don't mess with me because Jesus is my father and he protects this and protects, but what Jesus? Jesus of Barabbas, where you do whatever you want to do when you want to do it and expect the perfect outcome from it? Because the drug dealer, the dope dealer, the murderer, the killers, all of them, the tricksters, all of them, the charlatans, everybody talking about Jesus. Oh boy. Or the Jesus of his father of Nazareth. Which one do we choose? Two Jesuses. And many of us chose Barabbas. So when Pontius Pilate looked at the crowd of angry Jews and asked them, which one do you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah? The crowd shouted, give us Barabbas. What is the crowd from an internal perspective? The crowd is our personal desires. Do you want to follow a God who tells you don't do this, don't do that, don't do that? Or do you want to follow a God that says do whatever you want to do? Why are children angry with their parents? Why are children rebelling against their parents? The parents who are telling them don't do this, this will lead to that. And why are the ones who are allowed to smoke weed, drink liquor, party, act a dang fool? Why are they so quote unquote close to their parents? And why does the Bible warn that your children are going to turn against you one day? So it's the part nobody don't want to hear. But ignorance of the law, whether it's God law or legalities or moral law or universal law, is no excuse. So the people chose Barabbas. I respectively submit to you today that many of us who are talking about Jesus Christ and how much he's done for us, knowing how wicked we are, have not taken up the baton of Jesus, the Messiah. We took up the baton of Jesus, Barabbas. And I'm not saying that's a bad baton, because what's bad to you may be good to me, and what's good to me may be bad to you. That's personal. And that's why we have become personal in politics, personal in laws that we enact, because we are trying to justify an end to a means. The world is crooked. The world is 100% wicked. That's that. And people are going to want to have fun when they want to have fun, and they will justify it like I justified it. Like I said, I like to party with my LGBTQ people. I said that. I know the ins and outs of that. But I said, that's how I feel. They're having a party in a place that they rented. We're not bothering anyone. I chose to be there. It's not an infringement on anyone else's rights in any way because we're doing it legal. Whatever moral law or spiritual laws involved with that, I have to deal with that. You understand? So who did we choose? Jesus, Barabbas, or Jesus the Messiah? Many of us in the churches today chose Barabbas. We want our way when we want it. Or we'll leave this church, go to another church. We'll leave. But Jesus was able to get along with all who wanted to do right. There's so much more to this subject. I'm not going to continue on with it. I'm an hour in, and I think I'm going to stop. But I wanted to read that. Matthew 27, 16, and 17 of the New International Version of the Bible says, at the time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. That's 16, 17. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, which one do you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah? So the Caucasian pastor that I spoke with, who said that he remembers seeing that in the New International Version of the Bible, but they took it out, he was telling the truth. Two Jesuses, different characteristics, different purposes. But when we got to choose right from wrong, because we have been indoctrinated so deep into wrong, and the Bible says that you can't play both sides of the fence, you either with or against, we're going to go against. But because we don't want to be looked at as evil, we're going to always call on God as we do our wickedness. That's what's happening in the world today. Didn't want to point no fingers. I just had to put that out there. I didn't talk about anyone that I couldn't talk to directly, but there's a lot going on in Clarendon County. There's a lot of money being juggled all over the place. And if we're not careful, this town will be owned by outside entities. Because right now we're paying to be in buildings that the town once owned. We are suffering the chastisement and punishment of a people who enslaved us under their rules, their laws, their jurisdiction. And now their punishment is coming for what they did. And because we are so tied into them, we got to be punished with them because we have nothing of our own to separate ourselves from the wicked. And the wicked, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. The righteous, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. But when you have nothing, you must remain with the people who have something. And that is the story of Moses separating the children of Israel, who after being in the desert said, we should go back because we don't have nothing. And God had to prove himself to an ungrateful people who died off, and their children got the promised land and became ungrateful as well. And that is the children you see before you now who are killing each other wholesale, murdering each other with drugs wholesale. You ain't got no chemist out there. They just buy the drugs. The Chinese and the Mexicans are the chemists, the Chinese mainly. In closing, and this will be part of my next talk. Many of us shop at Temu because it's cheap. TikTok, they're trying to get that banned because it's an open platform for America. They don't even allow that in China. But China is allegedly behind the app TikTok. Facebook, Instagram, they're not freedom of speech. Not anymore. If they ban TikTok, there will be literally no place that you can get qualified information that you can research and find out whether it's true or not. Temu, it has been reported that the Chinese cyber attack America at least 3 to 4 times an hour trying to get into the system. You and I purchase all of our items from Temu because it's cheap. Well, I know an incident that occurred where the Europeans came over here and then came back and brought back smallpox in blankets to kill off the indigenous people? What if they start putting different chemicals into the fabrics and the other items that we order from these places over there and begin to spread diseases over here? This is a silent war, and there will be quiet weapons used in this silent war. Our military doesn't have enough people to fill the quota. Enough people are not joining the military for long periods of time. They're joining for 4 years, getting their pensions, they're 100%, and they're leaving. Most of our militaries are over fighting other wars in other countries. Somebody attack here right now, we'd probably be in trouble. On top of that, in closing, they have signed into law in certain places where they will be putting vaccines into fruits and vegetables. The measles, mumps, rubella vaccines, all of these things, but they will have to stipulate that, hey, this is a vaccinated fruit, a vaccinated vegetable. We're in trouble. All the way across the board. All the way across the board, I believe that a person should not be allowed to hold a political position for more than 2 years. And then they must go. Because once you get locked into that position, you find out the ins and outs, the goods and the bads, and we're going to choose the bad. How can I get extra money? You see what's happening with Fannie Willis and the other ones up in Atlanta and the other mayor down there, up there in Chicago. What happened with Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago? They're going to get their piece of the pie. And they're going to leave us out here. And there are good politicians, as good as they can be, good police officers, good pastors, as good as they can be. But the majority of people, man, God says in the Bible that this world is 100% corrupt. And we are in the book of Revelation. And our children, unfortunately, are the children who were given the promised land and they destroyed it. Our children destroyed the promised land. So old people have to watch all of their hard work in front of them as some weed head, alcoholic, banging drug dealer. After all the hard work to establish something of power, they chose that. And if you speak against it, they'll kill you. So the Bible talks about this time. You got to be tough to live today. And the only way you can make it and not be tough is to ignore everything that's going on. And that's what most people are doing. They're ignoring it. But somebody got to fight. I'm not a tough guy. But God is the greatest. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope I answered some of the questions about the open carry. Keep in mind that people were carrying guns anyway. You're not going to stop a person from carrying a gun, especially if they've done some mess. But man, once you say something is all right, our people have no filter. Keep this in your mind until the next time I see you. When those ships came 9,000 miles to the Akibu line or the African shore to take our people, if all of our people were to stick together, that never would have happened. But one tribe thought they were better than the other, so they helped to enslave us. That's why in Kenya and Ghana and other places, they're saying, if you come back there, they'll give you some land and all of that. Our people fell away from God. Our people fell away from ourselves, and our people are the reason that we will either rise or fall. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina.